All right, looks like we've got another mountain of AI news to dig into. February 12th, 2025, and AI security is making headlines, along with some international tension and even a little Hollywood drama. What do you think?
It's definitely a busy day in the AI world. Let's break it down and see what's really worth our listeners' time.
All right, let's dive in. First up, DevCon hackers are claiming what AI systems are, quote, alarmingly easy to infiltrate. They're calling for a complete security overhaul, which is, not something you hear every day.
Yeah, and what's especially interesting here is that they're saying traditional security measures like red teaming, they're just not enough anymore. So they want a more comprehensive approach to identify vulnerabilities that we might not even be aware of yet.
That's a bit unnerving, especially with all these other headlines swirling around. Google, for instance, has quietly dropped their pledge against developing AI for weapons.
Yeah, that move from Google is definitely raising some eyebrows, especially considering their previous commitment to ethical AI principles. It really does suggest a possible shift in priorities, maybe driven by, that intense global competition in the AI sector.
And it's not just Google. The Trump administration has completely revoked Biden's AI safety guidelines. It's like the race for AI dominance is just overshadowing any concerns about safety and control, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems that way. This lack of, clear regulatory frameworks is definitely creating a sense of uncertainty and potential risk. It makes you wonder, is anyone really steering this ship? Or are we just heading for a chaotic AI free-for-all?
Speaking of chaotic, how about China's DeepSeek? They're really shaking things up. Their open source DeepSeek R1 model is significantly cheaper than anything OpenAI is offering. And, oh yeah, they're facing accusations of stealing data from OpenAI.
Well, it is a little ironic that OpenAI is crying foul, right? Considering they've faced similar accusations in the past. I think this really points to a larger issue, which is that, the cutthroat competition in AI development, it sometimes comes at the expense of ethical practices.
And it's not just accusations, right? DeepSeek is facing some real consequences. Australia just banned them over privacy concerns. So now the question is, what does Australia know that others might be overlooking?
That's a good question. The Australian ban adds another layer of complexity to this already pretty messy situation. I think it's safe to say that DeepSeek is a disruptive force, and, the global community is really struggling to figure out how to handle them.
It's a lot to unpack, especially while world leaders are trying to figure out how to even govern this rapidly evolving technology. That AI Action Summit in Paris was supposed to provide some clarity, but it doesn't sound like it was much of a success.
Yeah, it seems like it was more of a diplomatic stalemate than a productive collaboration, right? France is pushing hard for some strict AI regulations, while the U.S., under VPGD Vance, they're prioritizing growth. They're worried about stifling innovation.
And then, of course, there's the UK, who decided to skip the summit altogether, citing national security, which, it's a pretty vague explanation.
Yeah, what are they up to? The UK's absence is definitely interesting, especially considering their previous involvement in AI safety discussions. It seems like they might be pursuing their own agenda, possibly prioritizing national interests over international collaboration.
A bit concerning, especially while all this is happening. And then you've got Larry Ellison proposing this radical solution. He thinks the key to AI advancement is a single centralized system for all national data, including DNA.
Bold move. Ellison's proposal is definitely stirring up some debate. You've got privacy advocates raising all kinds of alarms about the potential for misuse and abuse, while others argue that, consolidating all that data could unlock some pretty significant advancements in areas like healthcare.
It's the classic trade-off, isn't it? Progress versus privacy. It's a tough one. Where do we draw the line, and who gets to decide?
It's a debate that's far from settled, and it really highlights this fundamental tension between harnessing the power of AI and, of course, protecting individual rights.
Speaking of tough decisions, Google made a few controversial moves this week, dropping their pledge against weaponized AI and then ditching their diversity goals as well. Hard not to wonder if they're just, prioritizing profits over ethics, especially considering their recent financial struggles.
Yeah, the timing of those decisions is definitely raising some eyebrows. Some see it as a pretty cynical cost-cutting measure, while others think it reflects a broader shift in, Silicon Valley's attitude towards social responsibility.
It's a worrying trend, for sure, and it just underscores the need for greater accountability and ethical oversight in the AI industry. I mean, who's really in control here?
The question of who's holding the reins of AI development is becoming more and more critical as the technology just keeps getting more powerful and influential.
And back here in the real world, you've got AI already making its presence felt in the workplace. IBM is ordering their finance and ops teams back to the office, but at the same time announcing plans to, potentially replace some staff with AI.
It's a perfect example of how AI is really reshaping the job market, right? Creating new opportunities, but also displacing existing roles. It really raises those big questions about, the future of work and what skills workers will need to actually thrive in an AI-driven economy.
And it's not just corporate jobs. A school district down in Louisiana is turning to AI tutors to deal with a teacher shortage.
Right, and that's a really interesting situation. It highlights both the potential and the challenges of AI, right? It offers a solution to a really critical shortage, but then it also raises concerns about the impact on the teaching profession and, of course, the quality of education that students are receiving.
It really does feel like AI is both the problem and the solution in a lot of cases. Where do we even go from here?
That's the paradox of AI, isn't it? It presents immense possibilities and potential pitfalls. Navigating this complex landscape, it requires careful consideration of both the benefits and the risks. It's not easy.
It does feel like we're at a crossroads with all of this. I mean, the potential benefits are huge, but the risks are pretty significant too.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And we're seeing that tension play out in different areas, even in the creative world. Harrison Ford, for example, is making headlines for supporting a video game strike. It's all about the use of AI.
That's interesting. I mean, that strike, it really highlights those anxieties people have about AI's role in creative fields, right? A lot of folks are worried AI is going to replace human artists and writers altogether.
And it's not an unfounded fear. I mean, we're already seeing AI generate music, create art, even write scripts. So the question becomes, how do we ensure AI is complementing human creativity, not just replacing it entirely?
And that kind of ties into that whole legal battle that's brewing over AI and copyright, like that recent case where Thomson Reuters actually won against Ross Intelligence for copyright infringement. It sets an interesting precedent, right?
Definitely. It shows how existing legal frameworks are being tested by all this, what AI is capable of. We're in uncharted territory, and the courts are trying to catch up.
While the lawyers are figuring that out, researchers are making some pretty incredible discoveries about what AI can do. There's this new research that shows that if you teach AI to visualize, like humans do, it actually dramatically improves its problem-solving skills.
That is fascinating research. It suggests that maybe AI can unlock even more potential by mimicking human cognitive processes. Imagine AI with the ability to actually visualize. It could revolutionize robotics, autonomous navigation, so many possibilities.
Mind-boggling, isn't it? To think that AI could one day even have a sort of imagination.
It's a possibility we can't just ignore, and this research opens up some really exciting new avenues to explore. It's really pushing those boundaries of what we thought AI could achieve.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, remember we touched on multi-agent systems earlier. I think it deserves a little deeper dive, especially since it's such a fast-moving area of AI.
Absolutely. Multi-agent systems, they're basically teams of specialized AI agents. Each one has its own unique skills, and they work together to solve really complex problems that would be too much for just one AI to handle on its own.
So it's like having a whole team of AI experts, all working together towards a common goal.
Exactly. And we're seeing these systems used in all kinds of industries, from managing supply chains to even optimizing traffic flow. The potential applications are huge.
We even came across an article about how to build these systems using Azure Functions. It's a serverless computing platform. And, the technical details might be a little much for some of our listeners, but the main takeaway is that these tools are becoming more accessible and affordable.
And that's a game changer because it means that more developers and researchers can experiment with multi-agent systems. And that could lead to even faster innovation in the field.
It's almost like giving anyone the power to build their own AI dream team, right?
You could say that. And this brings us back to the question of who actually controls AI. Elon Musk, of course, is back in the headlines. This time, he's got these ambitious plans to use AI to make the government more efficient. He's calling this initiative DOGE.
On the surface, it sounds like a good idea, but a lot of people are skeptical, considering Musk's track record, big pronouncements and a lot of secrecy.
Right, and that lack of transparency around DOGE is definitely concerning, especially given the potential impact it could have on public policy and even governance. We need more information about how these systems are going to be designed, how they'll be implemented, who's going to oversee them.
And all that secrecy just adds to the concerns about Musk's overall AI ambitions. I mean, he's trying to buy back OpenAI, the very company he co-founded. Makes you wonder what his motives are and whether all this is just about consolidating power within the AI industry.
Yeah, definitely a situation worth watching closely. We need to make sure that AI development is being driven by the right things, ethical considerations and a real commitment to the public good, not just profit or personal gain.
While Musk focuses on the government, Adobe is making waves over in the creative world. They just launched a commercially safe AI video generator. That's good news for creators who are worried about all those copyright issues we were just talking about.
It's a strategic move by Adobe for sure. They're addressing a real pain point for creators and trying to position themselves as a leader in this whole new world of AI-powered content creation.
It's a smart move given how complex the legal landscape is becoming around all this AI-generated content.
Absolutely. And it also highlights that growing demand for AI tools that are powerful, but also ethically sound. Adobe seems to be trying to strike that balance.
And it's not just the big companies pushing the boundaries here. There's this new company, Pinkfish AI, and they've launched a platform for what they call generative automation. They're using natural language to create and manage automations.
That's pretty exciting because it's democratizing automation, making it accessible to even small businesses. It also shows how AI is increasingly being used to streamline workflows and boost efficiency.
It's like having an AI assistant that takes care of all the tedious stuff so humans can focus on more important work.
Exactly. And this trend is only going to continue as AI gets more sophisticated and integrated into our daily lives.
And speaking of integration, YouTube is teasing some new AI-powered features for 2025. They're promising to make it easier for creators to make content and for viewers to find what they're looking for.
That fits in with the broader trend of using AI to personalize user experiences and make technology more intuitive. These features could be a game changer for YouTube, helping solidify their position as the top dog in video sharing.
Feels like every industry is being touched by AI in some way. It's everywhere you look.
That's the nature of this technological revolution, right? It's pervasive and it's impacting everything.
And that brings us to this crucial question. How do we manage this transition to an AI-driven world? The European Commission just announced a massive €200 billion investment in AI. They want to be a global leader in this space.
That's a significant investment. It shows how serious Europe is about competing with the US and China in this AI race. It also highlights how important AI is becoming, for economic growth and even global influence.
But Europe is also taking a more cautious approach, right? When it comes to AI regulation, they're emphasizing ethical considerations and data privacy. That's a pretty stark contrast to the US and UK, who seem more focused on just fostering innovation and avoiding what they see as overregulation.
And that difference in approaches is creating this sort of fragmented global landscape for AI governance. It's like we're seeing this global tug of war over the future of AI with different countries pulling in different directions.
And that lack of consensus is worrying because it creates uncertainty for businesses and increases the risk of, ethical problems and unintended consequences.
It definitely underscores the need for more dialogue and cooperation between nations. We have to ensure that AI is developed and used in a way that benefits all of humanity, not just individual countries.
And that means addressing some really fundamental questions about the role of AI in society. How will AI impact things like employment, education, healthcare? Those are big questions.
They are big questions, and they require careful thought and open discussion. We need to involve people from all walks of life to make sure that the transition to an AI-driven world is fair and beneficial for everyone.
And that transition is already happening, right? We're seeing its impact in various sectors. What about the financial industry, for instance? How's AI changing things there?
The financial sector is being transformed by AI rapidly. Applications range from fraud detection and risk management to personalized customer experiences and algorithmic trading.
So it's all about improving efficiency, reducing costs, creating new opportunities, both for institutions and consumers.
Exactly. But there are risks to consider too, of course. Algorithmic bias, job displacement, and the potential for AI to be misused, for harmful purposes.
Which is why we need those robust regulations and ethical frameworks we were talking about earlier. We have to ensure that AI is being used responsibly in such a critical sector.
Absolutely. Finding that balance between fostering innovation and protecting consumers and the integrity of the whole financial system, that's key.
And the same goes for healthcare, right? Where AI is being used to diagnose diseases, develop new treatments, even improve patient care.
AI-powered medical imaging, drug discovery, personalizing healthcare, it's all revolutionizing healthcare. It's offering hope for more effective treatments, better efficiency.
But there are those concerns, too, about data privacy, patient autonomy, and, of course, potential bias in those AI-powered systems.
We need to ensure AI is being used in a way that prioritizes the well-being of patients and upholds those ethical principles we talked about.
And what about the manufacturing industry? It's going through its own transformation, with smart factories becoming more common, right? You've got robots, machines working alongside humans to optimize those production processes.
And it's leading to increased productivity, lower costs, even improvements in product quality. But there are those concerns about job displacement and the need to reskill workers.
So we need to invest in education and training programs that equip people with the skills they need to thrive in this new AI-driven workplace.
Exactly. We have to focus on those skills that complement AI, like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence, things that AI can't do.
We should also think about policies like universal basic income, job sharing, and retraining programs. They can help mitigate the negative impacts AI might have on employment.
Definitely. Those are important considerations as we move forward.
And let's not forget about the retail industry. I mean, AI is already changing the shopping experience, right? AI-powered recommendation engines, personalized marketing, cashierless checkout, it's becoming ubiquitous.
All of those technologies are providing consumers with more convenient, more personalized shopping experiences.
But again, there are those concerns. Data privacy, the potential for AI to manipulate consumer behavior.
We need to make sure AI is used in a way that respects consumer privacy and promotes fair and transparent business practices. No sneaky stuff.
And this all brings us back to AI security, which is more important than ever. I mean, as these AI systems become more complex, more deeply integrated into our lives, those potential consequences of a security breach become more severe.
Right, we can't afford to be complacent. We need to prioritize AI security from the very beginning, build robust systems that can resist attacks and recover quickly if something does happen.
So we need a multifaceted approach, strong security protocols, regular audits, and a commitment to staying ahead of emerging threats. We can't let our guard down.
Exactly. The stakes are just too high to be anything less than vigilant when it comes to AI security.
And that whole debate about AI regulation is only getting more intense. Governments around the world are trying to figure out how to balance innovation with safety.
Yeah, and we're seeing a real range of approaches, from the EU's cautious and ethics-focused strategy to the US and UK's more hands-off approach. They favor industry self-regulation, which has its own set of pros and cons.
It highlights this real need for more global cooperation when it comes to AI governance. We need to make sure AI is being developed and used responsibly and ethically on a global scale.
Exactly. We need those international standards and frameworks. Otherwise, we risk ending up with this fragmented and potentially dangerous AI landscape. We have to work together on this.
One of the biggest concerns people have is about AI's impact on jobs. A lot of folks are worried that AI is going to automate away millions of jobs, lead to mass unemployment and social unrest.
It's true that AI will automate some tasks and some jobs will be displaced, but it's also going to create new jobs and it will transform existing roles. It's not just about jobs disappearing, it's about change.
So we need to prepare for that change. Invest in those education and training programs, like we talked about, to help workers develop the skills they need to thrive in this new economy. We have to adapt.
Exactly. Focus on skills that are complementary to AI. Things like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving. Those are the skills that will be in demand.
Would you also consider those policies we mentioned, like universal basic income, job sharing, retraining programs? Those can help ease the transition.
Definitely. We need to be proactive and find ways to address those potential negative impacts. We can't just sit back and wait for things to happen.
And then there's the whole issue of algorithmic bias, which is a big one. These AI systems can inherit biases from the data they're trained on, which can lead to unfair outcomes in things like hiring, lending, even criminal justice. That's a serious problem.
It is, and we need to address it head on. We need mechanisms to ensure that AI systems are fair, transparent, and accountable. No black boxes.
So we need to audit these AI systems, look for bias, use diverse data sets for training, and involve people from different communities in the development process. We need to be inclusive.
Exactly. We have to consider all perspectives and make sure that AI is being developed and used in a way that's equitable and just for everyone.
And we can't forget about the potential for AI to be used for bad things, right? Things like surveillance, propaganda, even developing autonomous weapons. That's some scary stuff.
It is scary, and it's something we need to be very mindful of. We need those ethical guidelines and regulations in place to prevent abuse and ensure that AI is being used for good, not for harm.
Education is key here. We need to prepare future generations for this AI-powered world. They need the knowledge and skills to understand how to interact with AI and even shape how it develops.
Absolutely. We should be integrating AI education into the curriculum from an early age. We need to teach kids about AI, its potential benefits, and its risks. They need to be AI literate.
We should also be giving them opportunities to experiment with AI, develop their own projects, explore careers in the field, spark their curiosity.
Exactly. We need to foster a generation that's not just comfortable with AI, but also capable of guiding its development in a positive direction. They're the future.
And all of this requires continued research and development in the field of AI, right? We need to keep investing in basic research, exploring new algorithms, new architectures, new applications.
Absolutely. We need to push the boundaries of what's possible with AI, but do it responsibly and ethically. We need to consider the long-term impact of what we're creating.
And we need to make sure that AI benefits all of humanity, not just a select few. It has to be a force for good in the world.
I completely agree. That's the goal we should all be striving for.
There are some pretty exciting trends emerging in AI right now. One is this move towards more human-like AI systems, systems that can understand natural language, emotions, even social cues.
That's right, we're seeing more intuitive and engaging AI assistants, chatbots, and virtual companions being developed all the time. It's making AI more relatable, more human.
And then there's the growing use of AI in edge computing. That's bringing AI capabilities to devices and sensors at the edge of the network.
Exactly, and that's enabling all kinds of new applications in areas like the Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles, and smart cities. It's bringing AI closer to our everyday lives.
And then you've got this rise of AI-powered creativity. AI systems are being used to generate music, art, literature. It's blurring the lines between human and machine creativity. It's making us question what creativity even means.
It's really fascinating to see how AI is influencing and even shaping our culture. These trends, they're just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to come.
AI is evolving so rapidly, it's hard to even imagine what the future holds. But it's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and a little bit daunting, too, if we're being honest. But I think that's what makes it so compelling.
It's a challenge, but it's one we need to embrace. So let's step back for a moment and reflect on everything we've discussed today. It's been a whirlwind of information.
It has, but it's important to process it all, to understand the implications of what's happening with AI. It's not just a technological revolution, it's a societal one.
AI is transforming our world at an unprecedented pace, and it's impacting every aspect of our lives, from the way we work to the way we communicate, even the way we think. It's changing everything.
And it has the potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems, but it also comes with risks that we need to address. We can't just ignore those.
We need to ensure that AI is developed and used responsibly, ethically, and for the benefit of all humanity. That's the key.
We need to have those open and honest conversations, engage in thoughtful debate, and work together to create a future where AI is a force for good, not a force for division or destruction.
It's a journey we're all on together, and we need to navigate it with wisdom, courage, and compassion. Those are the qualities that will guide us to a better future.
I couldn't agree more. We need to remember that AI is ultimately about people. It's about using technology to empower people, create opportunities, and build a more just and equitable world. That's the future we should be striving for.
And it's a future we can create if we work together. But we need to be proactive, informed, and engaged.
Absolutely. We can't just sit back and let things happen. We have to be active participants in shaping this AI-powered future.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a few key takeaways. First, AI is not something to be afraid of. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to choose how we use it.
Second, we need to be aware of the potential risks of AI and work to mitigate those risks through responsible development and thoughtful governance. We can't just throw caution to the wind.
Third, AI is a constantly evolving field, and we need to stay informed and engaged. We need to be learning and adapting all the time.
And finally, AI is not just about technology, it's about people. It's about using technology to improve people's lives and build a better world for everyone.
That's the future we should be working towards. And it's a future we can create together.
Now that's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to keep exploring the world of AI, keep asking questions, keep challenging assumptions, and keep engaging in meaningful dialogue about the future we want to build.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
You know, while we're on the topic of all these big players, there are some interesting developments happening with, well, some of the small AI companies that might have slipped under the radar.
Oh, really? What have you got?
Perplexity AI, for instance, they just released a brand new search model. They're calling it Sonar. Apparently, it's blazing fast, powered by Meta's Llama 3, the 70B model, along with some, really top-of-the-line hardware.
That's pretty interesting. Perplexity AI has been gaining some traction in the AI search space, haven't they? This new model, it could really shake things up a bit.
It's definitely one to keep an eye on. The competition in AI search is really heating up. It's pushing the limits of what's possible in terms of speed, accuracy, and, well, the ability to understand those complex queries that people are throwing at it.
And while we're talking about competition, IBM is making a move that, I don't know, seems this strange. They're ordering their finance and ops teams back to the office. But at the same time, they're investing heavily in AI and potentially replacing some staff with AI systems.
Yeah, it seems kind of counterintuitive at first, right? But I think it really speaks to the complex ways that AI is impacting the workplace. It's not just about automating jobs away. It's also about redefining roles and workflows.
It's a good reminder that this transition to an AI-driven workplace, it's not going to be simple or straightforward. It'll require people to adapt, retrain, and really embrace new ways of working.
And that transition, it's not just happening in the corporate world. Remember that school district in Louisiana that's using AI tutors to deal with their teacher shortage?
Right. That's a really interesting case study. It shows how AI can be used to fill those critical gaps in essential services. But it also raises some big questions, doesn't it, about the role of AI in education, the impact it could have on both students and teachers.
It does. It highlights the potential for AI to address some really pressing societal challenges, but it also underscores the need for careful planning and, ethical considerations to ensure that AI is being used in a way that benefits everyone involved.
And that brings us back to that core question we've been wrestling with throughout this whole deep dive. How do we ensure that AI is used for good? How do we make sure those benefits are shared widely and equitably?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer. It requires ongoing dialogue, collaboration, and a real commitment to putting human well-being at the forefront of everything we do with AI.
We have to be vigilant. We have to constantly be looking for those potential risks, like algorithmic bias, job displacement, the potential for AI to be used for harmful purposes. And then we have to find ways to address those risks before they become real problems.
I agree. But we can't let fear paralyze us either. We need to be cautiously optimistic about the potential for AI to solve problems, improve lives, and create a more just and sustainable world. It's a balancing act, for sure.
Finding that balance, that's the key, isn't it? Between harnessing the power of AI for good while also guarding against its potential downsides. It's not going to be easy, but it's essential.
It is, and ultimately, the future of AI, it's not preordained. It's being shaped by the choices we're making right now, today. So we need to be mindful of those choices and make sure they're aligned with the kind of future we want to see.
It's up to all of us, really, to ensure that those choices are guided by wisdom, compassion, and a genuine commitment to creating a future where AI empowers everyone, not just a select few, a future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the ever-evolving world of AI. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has a fascinating, thought-provoking, and at times even a little unsettling journey. But that's the nature of exploring something as powerful and transformative as AI, I suppose. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this exploration. We hope you found it insightful and engaging.
We certainly have. And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep learning. The world of AI is vast and constantly changing, and there's always something new to discover.
So stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the fascinating world of artificial intelligence.